It's the pressure from my peers. So by taking smart drugs, I can work longer to achieve the same grades as they can without taking them.
It definitely does give you a competitive degree. Your ability to focus, your ability to get the job in hand done, smart drugs definitely do give you in that respect.
Well, we don't know what the long-term risks are because nobody's really been monitoring people who are using it on a regular basis. And they're also usually buying it over the internet, which is a very unsafe way to get prescription-only medication.
Out of my colleagues, the people who I feel strive to be high performers, almost all of them take it.
I think there's a huge amount of pressure on students. They're investing in themselves, aren't they, for their future at levels that are unprecedented. They probably feel that they have to succeed, they have to get the highest possible mark that they can, and they see their peers doing the quick route of just buying these drugs and maybe seeing results with them. So they're trying them as well.
I was very interested to see the NUS report recently, the survey, that apparently 6% of students use the cognitive enhancing drugs or smart drugs monthly, so they're using it on a regular basis. Frequently when I'm lecturing about it at universities, I'll hear some of the students will say to me, "I'm glad you talked about that because I don't really want to use these drugs, but I can see people passing them out in the library and I feel like I'm at a disadvantage. If I don't use them, I might not do so well in the exams."
So I just get smart drugs off my mate. They're quite easy to get hold of at university. Like most people know someone at least who's selling them. I feel like when it gets to exam period, you need those extra couple hours in the library. They can come in very handy, and so yeah, I do it to get the grades that I want to get.
It doesn't make you any cleverer. It just enhances the hours you can work for.
If you're going into an exam, I guess it would be cheating, yes, because you're in a competitive situation and you've taken advantage of other people. But I also feel that the coercion aspect is a problem because for other students, if you're using these drugs, then they begin to worry, you know, am I going to be at a disadvantage? How am I being protected by the university, for instance, with these other people using these drugs?
If someone's willing to take that risk, then fair enough if it works out for them.
People are biologically predisposed to be more or less tired, require more or less sleep, so that could also be an advantage.
I'd have to say I'm unsure, but it's morally ambiguous. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, if other people are doing better than me, then yeah, definitely cheating.
In a clinical environment, especially in a hospital, if they are shown to only have positive effects and actually make surgeons or doctors perform better, then I really don't see what the issue is.
This is the Cantab Neuropsychological Test Battery, which were co-invented by Professors Barbara Sahakian and Trevor Robbins. And these are objective measures of cognition that you're going to do today that we would give to people sort of before and after a drug treatment to assess whether or not there was any improvement in their cognition.
We saw with the sleep-deprived doctors in our double-blind study, placebo-controlled study, that they actually were less impulsive and they were better at problem solving. And we all know that in operations, unfortunately, sometimes things don't quite go the way you expect them to, or that something else occurs that you haven't been expecting. So if you're good at problem solving and you're a good flexible thinker and you're also not impulsive, these all seem to be very good things for a doctor or a surgeon.
I'm a physicist and I'm an inventor. I've recently done lots of work in cancer research on new ways to diagnose breast cancer. I'm in a job which requires a lot of deep focus, and for that I find Modafinil works really well for me. Out of my colleagues, the people who I feel strive to be high performers, almost all of them take it. There are these strong claims made against the safety of these kind of smart drugs. Often is nothing more than off-label use of well-established drugs that have already had them, have already been rigorously tested.
Well, we don't know what the long-term risks are because nobody's really been monitoring people who are using it on a regular basis. So we don't really know in healthy people what the long-term safety problems might be.
I've met lots of tech entrepreneurs who take it. I've met lots of surgeons who take it, students who've taken it. My experience is that it's actually very widely used. I actually even met an Uber driver who takes it for doing long shifts in front of the wheel. He was earning almost double of what he was normally earning, just because he was able to stay awake for that much longer.
I was a forklift driver, thinking, where am I going to go with my life? Am I going to be a lifer like some of these people that have been for 30, 40 plus years? And I knew that I had, more potential. I just wanted to find some way to unlock that. So I did a little bit of research and found that biohacking community that, was willing to share the information. It helped me progress into a more defined person that I feel more comfortable being. For example, I have my dream job as being a cybersecurity analyst. I wouldn't argue the point that I don't have a psychological dependence, but I often try to tell myself that, well, I'm dependent on food and water too to continue to live. So maybe it's just a nutrient that my brain lacks, and therefore I'm just supplementing what it needs to function in a well mental state.
So that's the big concern, isn't it? Are we fostering an environment where people are taking these smart drugs because they feel that that's the easiest way that they can succeed, and then they create in themselves almost a psychological crux, so they have to continue to take these drugs in our increasing 24/7 society where there is a huge amount of pressure to continue to do well. And is smart drugs or other forms of brain enhancement, is that the way that we want our society to evolve?
A lot of the philosophers will argue, and there are some philosophers that I know who take drugs like Modafinil, and they'll say that we should enhance ourselves if we're able to enhance ourselves. It's our job for society and future generations that we generate as many discoveries and inventions and we solve as many challenges and problems as we can. So one could look at it from that point of view. I also worry very much about society and where we're going. Will we all be just taking a pill and working 24/7, because now we can stay awake and alert all the time, so we will stay awake and alert and just keep working.
I really feel it's as arbitrary as taking something as innocuous as a can of Coke or a shot of espresso. I really don't understand why people feel the stigma.